This is Shane Watson here from PSC Sports. I'm here with Eddie Hearn today at the Grovers Murray press conference. So what do you make of the Grovers Murray fight?
Great fight. It's kind of like last chance saloon at world elite level, which is always exciting. Means that a little bit more. I thought both guys were respectful whilst having sly digs as well on the inside, which is always good. And I think it's a fight that both guys and the British public can really get their teeth into. Two guys they really know, two guys they've seen in major fights. And a really exciting fight for a huge night on June 25th.
Obviously, it's been announced you've got a 5-fight deal with Dillian Whyte, and obviously you've got Anthony Joshua in your stable as well. So was that a hard deal to make, or?
No, Joshua's very clever. There's so many fighters in that situation that would have said, no, I don't want him on my card. I don't want you to work with Dillian Whyte. And out of courtesy, I had to say, Anthony, I've got this opportunity with Dillian. Are you all right with it? He said, yeah, of course, get him on the show. Let's do the rematch. And that's how Joshua thinks. He's a smart thinker. And Dillian's smart too. And Dillian calls his attention wherever he goes. I mean, I'm sure you guys got some content out there with Derek Chisora, which is, golden stuff. And, there's some huge fights out there in the British heavyweight division to be made. And he's right in the mix of things.
Obviously, like we just said about the Derek Chisora situation with Dillian Whyte, are you not worried about promoting Dillian Whyte to an extent? Because he says some things that can be controversial at times and stuff like that, and literally like the spat that just happened outside. Does that not make you worried about him a little bit?
No, I think he's actually much less blue than Chisora, Fury, and other guys in the division. He wears his heart on his sleeve, which the fans like. I think he understands how to play the game as well. I don't think he uses terrible language all the time. He speaks badly, but he's got a street mentality that he ain't going to let anyone mess with him. So that's okay. We've got to keep it reasonably tasteful, and I thought the security done a good job outside. So it's exciting. I think fans like to see passion. They like to see rivalries, and we've got plenty of them right now.
So obviously he's fighting on June the 25th. What kind of opponent is it going to be? Is it going to be is it a journeyman, or is it going to be someone who's going to give him like a stone test for a good few rounds?
He's fighting a guy called Cyril Leone, who's a French heavyweight champion. I think he's like, I don't know, 60th on box rec in the world or something like that. So it's a fight coming back from injury, which is actually a lot tougher than fights that most guys would have taken. I mean, we had one guy who was scheduled to fight David Price at the weekend, Gospich, who boxed Chisora. And I just said to him, look, I don't think this guy's good enough. You saw with the David Hay show at the weekend. We can't really have a show off the back of that where everyone's going. Because what happens with fans is they're just waiting for negatives, right? So the moment something negative happens, and obviously off the back of the Hay fight, now they've got their knives out. Do you know what I mean? They're looking for the mismatches to say, that was rubbish, that was rubbish. So I said, we changed Price's opponent yesterday to a guy who's been the distance with a couple of people, and he's going to come to actually fight and try and win. These guys are going to get nothing out of going through the motions and beating up someone in a round or 2 rounds who don't try. All that work in the gym is wasted, and really the progression, every time you fight, you've got to be looking to progress. And by Price beating someone like that, and Price don't want to fight him anyway. Price has just said, this is the guy you've got, okay. But really, Price wants to do things that he's learnt with Coldwell. He wants to look good. He doesn't want people to moan at him. He wants to say, well, that was a good performance with David Price, on to the next one. And the guy Dillian's fighting is a good solid test for a comeback fight after being out such a long time of injury.
Another quick question I wanted to ask you was, obviously Tyson Fury is having his rematch with Klitschko, but then he's claiming that's going to be his last fight. Obviously, everyone wants to see the big fight with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. So is that still going to happen, or is it just Tyson Fury playing mind games?
Actually, having a pizza tonight. That's definitely going to be the last pizza I've ever had. And I had a hangover on Sunday. That's the last time I'm ever drinking. So,
He had a nice chat with you not so long ago, and that they're looking to make that fight potentially off the Klitschko. So I mean, Joshua Fury, that's a blockbuster.
I had a very nice cup of tea around Peter Fury's house, and he's a gentleman and he's a bright guy. They know it's the biggest fight out there, potentially in world boxing. Definitely the biggest fight for both guys, and we want that fight badly. And I don't think that's a difficult fight to make. I think it's a 50-50 fight in terms of revenue and in terms of chances to win. So therefore it's an easy deal to make. Peter Fury calls the shots, he makes the decisions, and I think it's a deal that can be made very quickly. It's just whether it happens in November, December or April, May.
Do you believe that Andy Joshua is ready for a big stone test like Tyson Fury after such a short pro career?
Yes.
Oh,
I don't see styles make fights, and I don't see any way that Tyson Fury can beat Anthony Joshua. Maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't think he'd beat Vladimir Klitschko. But we don't know what Vladimir Klitschko's got left in the tank. I just can't see how Fury can stand up to the speed and power of Joshua. Klitschko wouldn't let his hands go. He wouldn't commit. Fury's not a concussive puncher. I know all heavyweights can punch, but Joshua's not going to think about getting in and getting close. He's going to get in range, and he's going to let his hands go very quickly and very powerfully, and it ends by KO to Anthony Joshua. But we'll see it soon, so it doesn't matter what I say.
obviously, there we go. So obviously, Dillian Whyte, if he comes past these few tests he has coming up, and then he looks at a world title shot, whether that's Andy Joshua, whether that's someone else, obviously he's got a close relationship working with the Furies, so surely he can't go down that route either.
Well, he was up for fighting Hughie Fury for the British title, but Hughie Fury didn't want to fight him. They wanted to go another route. Dillian Whyte's a dangerous guy. You know, I think he must. A lot of people know that, but also the plan is not world titles for Dillian just yet. The short-term plan is the British heavyweight title, and then 2017 move on to world honours and maybe even a fight with AJ.
Okay, another quick question as well. Obviously, I see you get a lot of stick about it on Twitter as well. Kell Brook's next fight, which is going to be in the summer, is it going to be the big unification class that everyone's hoping it's going to be, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've agreed terms. That doesn't mean the deal's done now. We progress to contracts. Sometimes you send a draft contract and it comes back with changes that weren't even discussed. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Kell Brook will fight Jesse Vargas. He'll then win 2 belts. Then I think he'll go and win all the other belts in the division as well. So I'm pleased. You know, it's been the big fights haven't come for Kell Brook. You know, it's been no fault of anyone. Unlucky, and judging by people on social media, it's all been my fault. So it's been nice. It'll be nice once the ink's dry to turn around and say, have some of that. You know what I mean?
So obviously, when he won the world title, he fought he was under that fight as well, and then he obviously had that really bad.
Yeah. Well, he had the mandatory, had to fight him. I mean, the only one we could be criticised was Frankie Gavin, but it was a quick turnaround. It was, you know, we didn't know what was going to happen in the future, so he boxed Frankie Gavin. We're going to fight Rios. We ended up looking to fight Chavez, so which was a good fight, but he broke his rib, so he couldn't box that. He was out for another 4 months. Had to fight the mandatory, Bizier. So, you know, we don't want to let the belt go because no one really wants to fight Kell Brook. The only carrot is the world title. So if you lose the world title, who's going to want to fight Kell Brook? You know, so now the reason Vargas is coming is to gamble. And fair play to him.
Is there any chance is Brook off the cards now? Or is that
For now. Yeah, for now. Listen, maybe we don't know what else we can do to make that fight. So once we've got 2 belts, maybe he will want it. But he doesn't want to lose to Kell Brook. That's the basics of the situation. And maybe he won't. But he knows he could not wake up in the mornings having lost to Kell Brook. That is the scenario. And he would get knocked out by Kell Brook. And actually, you know, there was comments by my old man yesterday, and despite people on Twitter thinking my old man is me, it's not me, my old man feels he should retire, or at least consider retiring. Because that knockout was horrific. That wasn't a stoppage, that was a sleep. Cold. And you don't recover from that. You don't suddenly rebuild your jaw and your punch resistance. It gets worse after knockouts like that. And it's going to get worse. And if he fights Kell Brook, it's going to get a whole lot worse. But if he doesn't want to give the British public what they want, there's nothing we can do about it.
Just to wrap it up, obviously Lucien Reid was one of your prospect fighters and a very good fighter as well. Now, I believe he's signed with Frank Warren. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I couldn't give Lucien what he needed. And this is a problem I've got with, you know, not other fighters, but I could have a problem with this because young fighters have to be kept active. And unless you're perceived by, this might be a little bit harsh, but by me or by Sky as one of those top fighters, you're not going to be up the order of me saying, right, get him out, get him out, get him out. And people like Lucien, who is a very good fighter, was down the bottom of that list, and he wasn't boxing enough. And Peter Seams come to me and said, look, Frank Warren's been on, we could, you know, we could get him out, he could box him 5 times a year. And the answer was, good luck, that's exactly what he needs. And I can't be holding kids back. You know, you get other promoters go, no, you're not going anywhere. I've invested money into you. It's not. If I can't give him what he needs to progress, he should look elsewhere. And I wish him all the luck. He's a very good fighter.
So how's your relationship still with Lucien Reid? Is it still like, oh, you're on good terms?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I've always had a good relationship with Lucien. Most of my relationship was through Peter Sims, who's his manager. But I haven't, he boxed a couple of times at the O2, boxed once on a dinner show, then he boxed at the Copper Box. I probably should have boxed him a couple more times. But I've got that many fighters that only the ones that are excelling are getting the opportunities. But that might be a bit harsh on Lucien because he hasn't had the opportunities to excel. Do you know what I'm saying? So I wish him all the best, and who knows what will happen in the future. But if I can't give him what he needs to move on, and he's done that. And Peter's made the right move for him, and I hope Frank can give him more activity.